Hi, this is Brian Rance from ColoradoHouseChurch.com, and we're going to continue the interviews we are doing with Jan Cowles. He and his wife Tina have been doing some really cool things with something called School on the Way. But Jan, I want to start it off. Tonight we had another gathering of Denver Metro Network leaders who gather to talk about what God's up to. And one of the needs that we've seen is for education and training done the simple church way. Talk to us about God, how God has led you both to fill this need.
Well, for me personally, it's been a good 30 years of school. I have a love for school and education. I've gone through 3 colleges, several degrees, 3 grad schools, and I've had just a few really excellent professors and training styles that were much dialogue, and you're on the edge of your seat, and it goes way beyond the classroom. But even with that, I'm always saying there's a better way to do this, there's a better way to do it. My wife, who's more of a language person, kept saying there's a better way to learn these languages, and wanting to give the original languages back to the most common person, and she's done that in a few instances already.
Yeah. With Hebrew, right? It's
with Hebrew, yeah. And I've sat in on a half a year of her class after having 2.5 years of Hebrew, and went, can't believe how simple she makes this.
Yeah.
And so that's part of our passion. We have a love for scholarship. Sometimes I have a love-hate relationship with it because it can be only for a small percent.
Right,
and,
the elite few.
Right, and we believe we can bring the best of scholarship together with a dialogue type of teaching, which we feel is fully biblical, and in a context of we're listening to God and obeying. And even at that, I want to say there's a sense of when you're listening to the Lord, He's inviting you to come in and join Him. It's not, okay, obey and, I need to do this now.
Right.
No, it's just this inviting, and when you're dialoguing together and you're really letting Christ be the center, just like a house church, you're letting Him lead.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm currently doing a class, and that's happening. Everyone is teacher and student at the same time, even though I'm the main guy leading this class.
Well, and you and your wife have taught in both, traditional and now kind of your own simple church way of doing the classroom. What are some of the benefits and drawbacks of both?
Honestly, I would just, for the traditional setting, probably the biggest benefit they have that we don't have, at least at this time, is there's an accreditation.
Okay. Yeah.
Outside of that, and I'm very biased, but I see just about everything else is an advantage, because with us, even with my class, everyone decided where we're going to meet. When we're meeting at somebody's home, we could have met in a pub, we could have met in a restaurant, we could have met on the hillside, anywhere. They decided what times we're going to meet, how long do we want to meet. One group's going to do it in 4 weeks and 2 weekend retreats. This group is doing it in 10 weeks, Lord willing, about 2.5, 3 hours a night. And so we decide, do we want to have a meal with this?
Yeah.
We decide who reads what textbook. They decide. And I try to keep it where no more than 2 people are reading a certain text.
Why do you do that?
I want everyone, instead of everyone just reading the same text, I want coming from different angles. There's so much more we can bring together. Everyone is a teacher, as well as student. And
well, they always say you learn more when you teach.
Oh,
and this is simply
totally
basing an entire educational method off of that principle. And the priesthood of all believers, which is also something that's core to our faith.
Right. Well, for this class, I've probably spent 3 years, and some weeks as much as 15, 20 hours a week, reading numerous scholarly works, and I don't know how many books I've read. And yet there's still all these books I've read, and people are interested, and they're like, read that. You can read it. I don't need to read it. You can read it, and you bring it in. And but even beyond that, just we really are. We're not only saying it, but we really believe it. The most important thing is what is God saying to you, and what is He saying to us as a group? We've met for 2 weeks only, and already it's moving beyond and outside of our meeting times, what God is leading us to do.
I just think of my church history classes, biblical studies, and they weren't quite that engaging. I can tell you that much. Getting up at 8 in the morning is like, oh. But tell us, Jan, final question, What is your dream with School on the Way? What would you love to see God do through this?
We have a statement, and I can just even read it too. And School on the Way exists to train and release teachers for the purpose of equipping house churches for the spontaneous expansion of healthy homes of Jesus within walking distance of every person in Colorado. And as that expands to other states, and even already practically it's in other countries and in Africa and other places. So the beauty is even as I'm teaching and people are learning to teach as we're doing it, and they're learning to teach through asking questions and listening and drawing out, they can turn around and do that. And if they need me or whoever's leading their class to help mentor them or cheer them along on the side, they're there. But it's very much a release model right from the beginning. We're teaching on the way, School on the Way.
I love that.
And part of School on the Way is we're still learning on the way, and we're changing. I've changed from a year ago. A year ago I changed from 3 years before that, and a year from now I'm sure I'll have even a better sense of, kind of like I say in house church, I've often made it way too complicated. It's not that hard.
Right.
And I've made it dependent on me versus on the Lord. So sometimes humble, I'm like, so what am I doing? Well, not that much. But what's happening? More than ever.
Yep, exactly.
So it's
you're not in the way anymore.
And I love to teach, and we don't want to get rid of the gift of teaching. We just don't want it to be so centralized that the other gifts are missing. And I think I'm surprised we're starting to experience that in our courses already, where the gifts are happening in that context, even though there's maybe a focus. This is a class on versus house church, or this is a class on Genesis.
Right. Yep.
So,
well, if you have a passion for education in the church, for training of leaders, you need to get a hold of this guy. We've got some information on the website. I think we called the tab Training Opportunities. Should have been better prepared. But one of the tabs across the top of our website allows you to find out more about the School on the Way, get in contact with Jan and Tina. So thanks. Come back to the website to see more interviews, training opportunities. And until then, thanks again, Jan, for being with us.
Thanks, Brian, for letting me talk.